The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Hello, very good evening to you, and welcome to the Locker Room European special for Thursday night. We're in quarter-final action of the Europa League with Rangers and Atletico Bilbao. Or, I don't know about you, Robbie, but this team has got so many names, I can't actually think on my bit of paper. They're actually called Atletico Bilbao or Club. What they call athletic club as well. So take your choice of that one. Joined by Reagan and Robbie for the big build up for the game tonight. Looking forward to this one, guys.
Aye.
Should be good, Michael.
Aye, should be a cracker.
Yeah, so it's a quarterfinals first leg at Ibrox, and I can maybe pronounce Ibrox better than Stephen Thompson. You would say, Robbie, as well. But let's skim over that one. Get
I
your
do
comments.
watch. I'm just going to say, Michael, I'm looking forward to watching Athletic Club tonight. I mean, I do watch quite a lot of them. They play in the Basque Country of Spain. I do enjoy watching them because I don't know if people know watching, but they've got a kind of rule in the Basque Country that you only buy players from the Basque region. I don't know if you knew that, Robbie, but that's the type of thing that they do in Athletic Club. They also do it in Real Sociedad as well.
Yeah, aye, and you've got to say some of the talent Athletic Club have as well. It's it's
talent's
no,
brilliant.
there's a reason they're top four, and let's be honest, it's one of the best leagues in the world, the La Liga. They've already took points off of Barcelona and Real Madrid, so they're not there to be waved away at Ibrox.
And obviously, over the past couple of years, they've had a few centre backs. There's one called Indigo Martinez. You know him, Robbie?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, he moved to Barcelona. Indigo Martinez. He's a great centre back they've had in recent years. Obviously, right now they've got the Spanish number one goalkeeper, Simon, who's number one goalkeeper. He was unfortunately missing for the Scotland match. We had to put up with Cesar Azbalaga, or the former Chelsea goalie. We had to put up with him, but they've got a lot of good players at Athletic Club, so I'm looking forward to it. I was saying to a few of them in Glasgow City Centre earlier, I was saying to them, Hala Athletic, and they were enjoying themselves in George Square and frequenting themselves near Celtic Park as well, Michael. So it was good to see them.
A lot of paella, maybe, but I don't know if that's the right way to, different parts of Spain and whatever. But yeah, Robbie, I was very interesting that Reagan said that because from time to time, near enough, every week we always talk about youth football, and I think Scottish football should bring that in. Like you could go and sign player for Scotland because, like, it would make a better league, maybe.
I think it would definitely make a more interesting league. It's a rule that I'd love to see. I love to see how what would be. I think what would intrigue me the most is seeing how Celtic and Rangers would go.
I mean, could you imagine if they said in St Mirren you could only sign players with Renfrew and Barhead? They'd be struggling.
Well, that means I actually get a game for the Saints thing because I'm from Barhead and me and Mark.
And you wouldn't want that.
And you wouldn't know what that.
No disrespect to Mark Hanna, but he's quite good. But I know we wouldn't say that about yourself.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say the opposite of that, Reagan, but are you surprised that I'm a bit biased about myself? But yeah, so 8 o'clock kickoff at Ibrox. Obviously, we'll get the team news for you as soon as we get it, and I'm looking forward to hearing Robbie's interpretation of the Spanish players tonight. But no, it's okay. We just say that there's 11 players on the park that play for Atletico Bilbao. I think we'll give you points off for that tonight. But anyway, right, guys, let's get into it then. The defeat on Saturday against Hibs, obviously we've got to look back as well. But I don't know about you guys, like, but it's been well publicised that Barry Ferguson's press conference after the game, and he came into the press conference and basically slated the Rangers players about that's not a Rangers team. But I don't know about you, Reagan, but I mean, I know he's very passionate and he's a big supporter of Rangers and all the rest of it, but why say that? Because obviously you've got a big game tonight and 6 games after the split as well.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Michael, but I think that performance on Saturday was pretty bad. Bearing in mind, no seen the highlights because I've been enjoying the sun, I've been enjoying the beer and everything else, Michael. So take that with a pinch of salt. But I felt watching the highlights that Hibs were the better team. You know, I did. I felt like they were imposing themselves. They were imposing themselves in the game. It was a great goal with Martin Boyle, but there was nobody there to challenge him. Like Barry said there. And I think that overall, as well, as much as there's a clear demise at Rangers, Robbie and Michael, but you've also got to admire the turnaround of David Gray as well. 16 matches unbeaten. A lot of people this week have kind of spoke about Rangers, but I'm interested about what the other side of Edinburgh have actually done, because I'm actually interested to see Scottish football. I think this season has been a good standard. I think there's things we can improve on. I think the Rangers back line, something they can improve on as we'll get into tonight, Michael, because I'll bring you the team news very soon there. But I mean, I'm just looking forward to see, because obviously John Sutterson, he's not available tonight. So I think the changes that Barry is talking about there for me is going to be Balogun, Robbie, because surely you can't drop Robin, Jack Butland for a match like this. I mean, I love Liam Kelly, but I mean, we had Stephen Reside on the show about a year ago, Michael, and he was lambasting Liam Kelly, saying he's not good enough to play for Motherwell, never mind play for Rangers.
I think you can drop Jack Butland. Honestly, I'll be surprised if he doesn't drop Jack Butland, and I say that because I listened to what he said in the media, and Michael said it earlier. He has been very open and honest, saying he needs to make these big decisions. Well, every Ranger fan that's going to Ibrox tonight or watching around the world should be saying you need to make the big decisions now. I know Jack Butland has got the quality. He's a former Premier League player. We know how good he is, but if a player isn't on form, no matter where he is on the pitch, he should rightly so be dropped.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, Robbie, but to play devil's advocate on that point you make there, right? That I just think for the magnitude of the match, if you drop Jack Butland for this, that then you've then lost a player, but then you also pile so much pressure onto Liam Kelly's shoulders.
Yeah, you can lose a player in Jack Butland, but you can also lose a tie, and that's what Ferguson needs to be careful of. That's a Hibs team that, absolutely no disrespect to Hibs, they went and classed Rangers at Ibrox. They showed them how it was done at the weekend, but this is a team with quality players like Nico Williams and Ake Williams. They're two really good wingers. If Dylan Levitt can get a shot off and Jack Butland tumbles it into the net, imagine what's going to happen if some world-class Spanish players are running at Jack Butland, hitting shots at him.
I totally see what you're saying, Robbie, but then to play devil's advocate, he then pulled off 2 amazing saves against Fenerbahce. So then how do you... I just think it's too big a match to throw a player of Liam Kelly's magnitude into the match, because for me, if it's Celtic, right, say Celtic and they're playing against Barcelona, for example, right, and Celtic throw in Sinisalo or Scott Bain because Schmeichel's in a few bad games, I wouldn't want it. I just think that in these matches, as much as Jack Butland's his confidence might be a little bit down, but I think in these type of matches, he can maybe try and help people like Robin Proper to try and manage the game and also shore up the defence. But I totally agree with what you're saying, Robbie.
Do you not think as well? I look at Liam Kelly and flinging him in could be a bit silly. It's a big tie, but again, Liam Kelly's 29 years old. Liam Kelly's probably feeling that he wants to have these opportunities. He wants to bask in a Europa League game like this where he can make a name for himself in front of 50,000 at Ibrox.
And you've
Yeah,
got to
I
remember,
agree with you.
and you've got to remember, guys, as well, that everybody's talking about Jack Butland should be dropped, and a lot of people say no, he shouldn't. And so I think the supporters are a bit split on that one. But like me and Reagan done a show, and Andy was on as well at Man United, and Jack Butland basically gave the goal away. Rangers were like 2 seconds away from getting what was it? All 3 points at Old Trafford, and yet he made a big mistake at Old Trafford as well. So you've got to think back to then as well, and that was a big stakes in European football away from home.
I totally agree with what you're saying, Michael, but I don't think Barry would drop Jack Butland in the magnitude of the game. Now I'm going to say something that might rile a few Aberdeen supporters, right? But I do think that Sunday's game pales into the insignificance because I just feel like Rangers are guaranteed second place. Aberdeen are in the top six. Of course, Rangers and Aberdeen, a big rivalry there that goes back years, right? Of course there is. But I think maybe Sunday's game is a game maybe you play Liam Kelly in. Maybe
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. Actually, I think I mean, look, I expect Barry Ferguson to pick his strongest team tonight. Where he thinks it's Kelly or Butland for this game, I think if you lean more towards Rangers' strongest team, Reagan, I think you're right. I think it would be Butland. But again, I'm looking at the last two games, and if I'm a manager, and look, Barry Ferguson is obviously well more experienced than the others, and he knows what decision he's going to make. And, he watches Butland in training. I just look at this game though, and I think if Butland lets in the goals that he's letting, it's not just the Hibs game or the Man U game. I look at the Dundee game and some of the goals he conceded in that as well. And I'm going, if these Spanish players are on form in this game, Butland could be in for one bad afternoon because I look at the Hibs stats and Hibs had I think 6 shots. I think Dundee had around about that as well. That's no many. Whereas you can expect maybe double that off the Athletic Club in this game.
And I mean, I know that a lot of people said that since Barry Ferguson's come in, he's got a better fight in them in terms of when they go a goal behind or 2 goals behind, they come back to win the game. But I mean, Robbie, Ranger fans should never been watching the team going down 2-0 and then they start playing football and coming back to win 4-2. I mean, it's happening too often now.
Yeah, it's something that I don't think any fan wants to see, to be honest with you. You always want your team to be comfortable, but particularly a Rangers team, Rangers growing up have never been that team that's gone goals down then coming back, up until very recently it started to happen more and more. And I look at, an old Rangers team and it's been a very weird season for Rangers, they've lost countless games at home, they've not won at home since, February. It's been a record-breaking season for like us. We've beaten Rangers twice. That doesn't usually happen, but it's also been a positive season in some aspects. They've shown glimpses that they can compete with the likes of, the European giants and the Celtics in the league. That's twice now they've managed to beat Celtic. So it's been a very odd season for Rangers.
Yeah, Reagan, if you were a Rangers fan, you would be a bit kind of like bamboozled about how Rangers are performing that well in Europe. And look, I mean, they're into the quarterfinals tonight, but they're struggling to beat teams like Dundee, even though they won that game. But I mean, they were only a few minutes away from getting another defeat, and obviously the game in Saturday. So why is that? Like, why is it a mentality thing? And I know that there's a lot of talk about and
I just don't think Rangers can. Just simply don't think Rangers can handle Ibrox Stadium.
well,
You know,
well,
I don't think
I
they
think
can.
I think I think I'm going to argue the point there, Reagan, with you, because obviously Lean Balogun was talking yesterday, right? And they were asking him at the press conference about if Ibrox is a barrier. But I mean, I would argue the point in saying that they still play at Ibrox tonight against Atletico Bilbao. So, like, what's the difference?
The difference is that they're playing lower level opposition that they're struggling to get up for, and that's not me being disrespectful to Hibs or St Johnstone or whatever, but it's these modern day players, Michael. It's the modern day generation of players that go Celtic players or Rangers, they go like that. Oh, I'm joining Celtic for £5 million and I'm playing St Johnstone. Yeah, you know they've not got they think they can just rock up there and they can just everything can be rosy. And as Robbie will tell you, football's not like that. If it was played in paper, I wouldn't pay my £20 again to get in to watch St Mirren against Celtic. If it was played in paper, I wouldn't be paying my TNT subscription or whatever else. You pay it because there's the unpredictability of football.
Yeah, you're spot on. The Rangers don't know. You're right. The Rangers don't know how to deal with the lower opposition teams, and it's something that is probably for me the main reason why Rangers have been second place for the last few years behind Celtic. Celtic, obviously McDermott Park happened at the weekend, and but every team takes a loss. No team's ever going to win every game of football.
Yeah.
As Regan said, if every team won a game, you've been no point in paying your money to go and watch it. It's very rare that Celtic slip up against a team, another team in the league. So,
and Robbie, this is not just like Rangers players. This is like I'll take you back to Vargas. I'll take you back to but Bio that plays down in Watford. I'll take you back to Pookie that plays. All of these players, like as much as we go, how are they not doing well in Scotland? Because they're not motivated to do well. Because like every time Vargas goes off to the national duty, he goes, I want to play at a higher league. I'm not motivated. No, I think Vargas is an outstanding player, but see if his attitude first and foremost, Robbie, is no good enough to play for Hearts, then his attitude's not going to be great to play, because of course we love Scottish football, right? Because we talk about it every week. We're here to talk about Rangers tonight, but I mean, in terms of like these players being motivated, I just think people like Dessers and Redvan and even Hadji to an extent, I don't think they particularly rate Scottish football, and I think it's a problem for them to really get up for it. Because for me watching like every Rangers game this season, like take the Queen's Park game for example, they probably felt like, oh, we only need to play at 40% here because they'll get tired. So all we need to do is really turn up, and then we'll I'm sure we'll win because they'll get tired and we'll just go and score 5 or 6 goals. That's the mentality they've had, and it's no worked for the club over the past number of years, because if that's your mentality, the big thing that Celtic do very well, and the reason why they sustain it, is because every time a Celtic board member meets up with a brand new player, right, it's all about moving the player on. It's all about saying to him, go, right, if you stay here for 1 year, then you make his money. And then he goes, well, then I think Robbie's just broke some massive team news.
Very big team news, by the way.
Oh, there we go, Robbie. Over to you.
Yeah, so it's Kelly and goals. A back four, Tavernier, Proper, Balogun. Obviously the back five, sorry. Tavernier, Sterling, Proper, Balogun and Ridvan. They've picked Bailey Rice in the midfield, which is an interesting choice with Nico Raskin and Yanis Hadji, and then it's Václav Černý and Cyril Dessers. Makes it a Rangers team.
There you go. That's a Rangers
That's
team.
interesting.
Regan,
Do you know something, Michael? I like you from Barry. Do you know what it says to me? He's ruthless. He doesn't care. He doesn't mind if you're a Hadji and you think, oh, I can just rock up and I'll be in there. He goes, no, I'm putting in young Billy Rice. You know, because as much as I like Fleet Clement, he wasn't brave. You know, you look at the Queen's Park game, right? The Queen's Park game, he could have took anybody off at half time and he decides to take off Billy Rice. But Billy Rice during that game against Queen's Park was absolutely brilliant. But Fleet Clement decided to ostracize him, and then Rangers proceed to go on that. So I'm glad that Barry's put a bit of faith into young players, and he'll be desperate to keep his place in there, Robbie, now. He'll be desperate.
It's a really big call, putting Bailey Rice in. Obviously, we've only really seen glimpses, but Michael, we've come on this show countless number of times and said we want to see youth players play with our club teams more in Scotland. Well, there we go. We've got a bit of a taste of what's potentially the future of Scotland because he's put Bailey Rice in a big game. We obviously had the debate about Butland as well. It's been dropped now. Liam Kelly's got the gloves for tonight, so it's a really interesting team selection for Barry Ferguson. I think one thing we didn't even touch on before the team news came out is Cyril Dessers. He is a goal scorer. He scores goals, but my big worry tonight is he scores goals because, as we say on the show, he gets a lot of chances at club level. When Rangers are playing at these teams, that's how he gets the goals. Well, now he's playing on the European stage where, let's be honest, he's not going to get too many chances. So it's going to be big to see if he can take any of them tonight.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Robbie blows at the team news there, and for anybody coming in, we'll give you the team news back in a minute as well. But all the talk was about Jack Butland, Scott, Liam Kelly, right? And obviously Barry Ferguson's made a big call here. And to be honest, it might work or might come back to bite him. But nobody saw that Bailey Rice was going to start tonight, and that's Regan has said that he's very bold because weeks ago that when Barry Ferguson came into one of his press conferences, he said, I may not be the full-time manager of Glasgow Rangers, but I'm the manager at the moment, and he's proven that tonight, Regan, because he's making big choices in the team.
Yeah, he is, and I'm actually pleased that he's done it because I'm interested because Barry's trying to put his stamp on. He's telling these players, look, you know that you must play well to guarantee your place. That's the way it should be a big club. It shouldn't be that if you play rubbish, right? If you play rubbish, then it should be automatically that you're in. I do think it's pretty bad that Butland's not playing, but I like it.
Regan, I think. Sorry, I was just going to say, Regan, I don't know about you, but this makes me respect Barry Ferguson a bit more. If this is a Clement managing this game, there's no chance Bailey Rice and Liam Kelly start this. So to me, for me, obviously, I'm so unsure now whether Ferguson will get a job full time, but to me, that puts a bit more respect on his name. And I think every Rangers fan should think the same. I think that's a call that, yes, if it doesn't work and Athletic Club do run out winners, then you know what? He's gave it a try. He's been the first Rangers manager that I can remember in a while that's actually got the guts to change the team like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. It's great news for Liam Kelly as well because as much as I never trusted him for Scotland on terms of Rangers, but his last match he played was a match against Celtic when Celtic already won the league, Robbie. So, and then the other one was when Jack Butland's missus was pregnant, and they did well that day. So, I mean, he's got a very good record to be the Rangers goalkeeper. So,
yeah,
I don't think we can really argue it.
Before we bring our comment in, In fact, let's just run on the now. I was just going to talk about what Barry Ferguson said at the press conference yesterday, but thanks for your comment on YouTube. He says, I think Ferguson should get the job. Personally, he's got the backbone. He's made the big decisions there in the gig. And I suppose, like, Reagan, that's basically what you said a minute ago.
Yeah, I don't think Fleet Clement would have done something like that. But I think Fleet Clement has got his job because he was too safe. But I think fair play to Barry, he's been able to show that the fans and show the players as well, right? Well, if you're not doing it for me, then I'll show you what you're getting, and you're getting a seat on the bench. And that's what needs to happen. It's the same. It's the same with any player. It's like nobody really knows why Jeffrey Stubbs been playing the last 2 months, but it's obviously because Brendan Rodgers knows that Greg Taylor is not going to be there next year, and also because probably his attitude in terms of Greg Taylor knows he's not going to be there, so it's sort of dropped off and zoned out. And that's what managers need to do. They're paid to make the right choices. And fair play to Barry, he's made a big choice there that hopefully from his point of view, it'll pay off.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robbie.
No, I was just going to echo some of what Reagan said. It's really brave reading some of the replies online and the Rangers Twitter account. Some of the Rangers fans are surprisingly not happy. To me, though, it's what Rangers fans have only been crying out for a couple of seasons now. They wanted a manager to be brave. And when that happens, they don't seem to be happy. But look, if this doesn't work, and but it's a good thing we're doing the preview show because we can say it now. If this doesn't work, I'm not going to come on the show at 10 o'clock and go, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that, because to me, I don't. If Rangers lose this game, obviously, I want them to go through for the sake of Scottish football, but if Rangers lose this game, to me, I'm still happy that he's picked Kelly and he's picked Bailey Rice and, he's dropped these players that aren't cutting it. To me, I can't be critical of that, even if it doesn't work.
I wanted your guys' take. Obviously, I was at the press conference yesterday, and like Leon Balogun was up doing his press duties, and basically he said that we have a Hagan honest meeting this week, and obviously Barry Ferguson basically said the same thing. He said that we've had a meeting on Monday, and we've had a good training session this week. He was talking about Atletico Bilbao. He said, "What an opportunity we've got. Bilbao will be a tough game, but we're hoping to take the league over there." And that's the thing, Robbie. Obviously, Leon Balogun said it, Barry Ferguson said it as well. But I mean, you can have as many meetings. You can have about 10 meetings in the one day. But as soon as you cross that white line, you still got to do the talking on the park. Supporters don't care about how many meetings you have. In fact, as a professional sportsman, a golfer, a footballer, whatever, you don't really have to have meetings to talk about what you've been doing wrong. So, I mean, what do you think of these kind of like comments? And have you saw any Ranger fan online reacting to that comment about we've had good meetings on Monday and we're performing well on training?
I mean, look, I agree with your point. Like, I get it. I think you're right. There shouldn't be a need for these meetings every so often. It should be you play with Rangers. You know what you're up against. Once you cross that white line, you need to put in your best. You need to give it your all every week. Saying that, speaking to Rangers fans, I think they're actually happy that there's a manager here. I think Rangers fans are firmly in the boat that a Clement or Giovanni Van Bronckhorst or even Beale at points wasn't, it didn't seem like there was that connect between them and the players. It felt almost dry between the manager and the players, and especially the manager and the fans. Whereas you're seeing a Barry Ferguson who, he's speaking his mind, he's speaking the truth in a way, which, it could be a good thing or a bad thing for the manager say what's on his mind, especially in front of the press. But I think Rangers fans are almost happy in a sense that there's actually, it's not just Ferguson that's coming out and going, oh yeah, we've had meetings with the players. It's Balogun as well that's coming out, and it's these players that are going, oh yeah, we've been speaking truthfully with the manager. And to me, that's a positive in a way. But again, you're right. If this doesn't work tonight, then what's the point in these meetings? They need to go. They need to give everything they've got. And by the way, this is an athletic club team. Sorry, that yes, they're very good and they sit fourth in the league for a reason, but they've only scored one goal in the last 3 games. This is, this isn't a high flying athletic club team. This is a team that's scraping through games, getting a couple of draws here and there. So for Rangers, they've got to be looking to get goals, and especially the home leg.
Yeah, no, and I was just going to go back to Saturday, and obviously Saturday's out the way now, and the Rangers fan probably saying, well, Saturday's out the way, it was a bad performance, let's move on. But like what I was saying at the top of the show about Barry Ferguson making the comments, look, I get it. Like, if you ever a St Mirren manager and you get well beat, you would be saying that at the press conference, right? But gets part of you kind of not regret saying that now in terms of Barry Ferguson, because obviously he's basically saying that's not a Rangers team. So as soon as the players hear that, Robbie, they must be thinking to themselves, well, I'm going to actually down tools here, because he doesn't think I'm a brilliant player.
Yeah, I get your point. I think Ferguson has been really truthful since he came into the job. I just wonder how the Rangers players feel, and in particular somebody like a James Tavernier, who has been at the club a long time. He's been through basically every league in Scotland to get here. And let's be honest, Tavernier will be reading not just what the manager's saying, but he'll be reading what the fans are saying online as well. Tavernier has received some amount of abuse, and not just online, but in person as well, off the fans. The fans have been very truthful in what they think about Tavernier. So for him to put on the captain's armband, tonight especially, you'd be wondering what's going through his head as well.
It's very interesting because you said that Rangers hasn't won a game at home since February, and maybe before that, maybe you would be looking at a Celtic, the Celtic defeat in New Year. But it's weird to think that a team of Rangers stats there, and you're thinking, when was the last time they won a home game?
Yeah, so I've had a look. The last home game Rangers won was 4-0 against Ross County on the 2nd of February.
Right.
So that just shows you really how long it's been.
Yeah, no, because I can't think of, obviously we're used to Rangers, getting beat a single game at home, but not as many as 5 games. That's a bit much. But when you compare that against the European form, it's like it's I don't know about you, Robbie, but it's like watching 2 different teams.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. As it's like watching 2 completely different Rangers teams. I just think, as Reagan sort of said on the show earlier, I just don't know if these Rangers players are a bit too cocky when playing these lower teams. I look at the Queen's Park game, I look at the game against us at Ibrox, I look at the game against Motherwell. I think these players are just a bit too overconfident that they think, St Mirren are coming to Ibrox or Motherwell are coming to Ibrox, and we don't need to try as hard. We know we've got the fans behind us. We know that if we just play a simple game, we'll find the goals, and it's no happened this season, which, by the way, I will say, not discrediting St Mirren or Motherwell or Queen's Park or any other team that's taken a win off Ibrox, because as Reagan mentioned earlier, the standard has only got better in Scottish football. That's full credit to those teams that have came to Ibrox and actually wanted to play their own game, managed to get results. But that should never be happening. Rangers, I love to know out of how many of the last sort of 10 seasons, how many games in the league Rangers have lost to Ibrox at home, because it must be around about 5 or just fewer than 5, because it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, no, I was just speaking, Reagan, to Robbie there about, like, I can't, it's quite hard to put your finger on why it's 2 different teams that Ranger fans are watching week in, week out. and compared to league games and cup games, and then tonight's game against Atletico Bilbao at Ibrox as well. But it's right hard to believe that when you watch Rangers, okay, a team could beat a team could rock up at Ibrox and beat them, right, as a one-off game.
Yep.
But yeah, I can't, it's hard to imagine that Rangers hasn't won a game, Robbie was saying, since the beginning of February when Ross County, I think you said 4-0, Robbie?
Yeah, 4-0 over Ross County at Ibrox was the last one.
So,
Yeah, that's shocking.
It's hard to believe, yeah.
It's terrible. I mean, Ross County at that point were near the bottom of the table, Robbie. Remember Philippe Clement, remember at the start of the season, he was dancing around Hampden and they beat Ross County 6-0.
Yeah, I mean, see with that result, I mean, that was at a time where we were coming on the show. Rangers had just come back off the Union St Gallen one as well at home. And we were going, maybe Rangers have turned
their corner. Is it that far back?
Aye, it's that far back.
My God.
We were on here going, maybe Rangers have actually turned a corner. No, it's they did not go that way. It only went downhill. But I mean, look, we've not even touched on the Athletic Club team sheet. I'm not going to try and pronounce any of the names.
I'll try and do it for you, Robbie. I'll try and do it for you.
Reagan, just quickly. I mean, interesting news that they've got the #1 goalkeeper in Spain.
Yeah, I mean, he already knew he's been dropped. It was part of the.
Okay.
But the manager, the former Barca coach, escapes my brain name, Robbie. He was the manager of Barcelona. He was the manager of Barcelona, the guy. But anyway, he said that the #2 goalkeeper will be #1 for the Europa League at the moment. Yeah. So
Valverde.
Yeah, it's Valverde. Yeah, he's a very good coach actually. He's done. I think he was at Athletic Club before, but I think Robbie. I think the big thing for them that people seem to kind of misunderstand is that they've got something big on the line. They've got a final in their home stadium.
Yeah, aye, that'll be a big factor in this year's Europa League. Obviously, with the teams that are left. I mean, it was interesting though hearing Valverde's comments, speaking before the game. He gave a lot of credit to Rangers. I think I could be wrong. I believe he quoted saying he thinks Rangers are one of the favourites for the competition. So, this isn't a manager that's, he's not going to overlook Rangers. He's going to show them respect. And obviously, Regan, I know you'll get the team sheet in a minute, but it's hard to look at that team sheet and not focus on the two Williams brothers out in either wing. That's just the main threat that they have in this game.
Yeah, they've also got the DeMarcus, who I like as well. Yeah, and the big striker, #21, he's quite good. So I think they've got a lot of players in that squad, Robbie, that I do feel could win them the match. Also, if you look at their bench, actually, as well, they've got players on there that can really affect the game. So I think in terms of Athletic Club, I think they've got a real. I think they'll think they've got a genuine chance to win the game, but I think for them, they'll just be hoping that they can put on a performance, because as much as we like to criticise Rangers tonight and say, well, why are they not doing well at home? But we also know, Robbie, that they are a really good European force. Like, I was talking to a Rangers fan in the pub about a few weeks ago, and he was saying to me, "Aye, but a Thursday night under the lights is totally different for Rangers." And I don't know, Robbie, it's maybe just a coincidence, but every Thursday it just seems to happen. I mean, remember the Thursday on the 2nd of January when they played Celtic? And they beat Celtic 2nd of January on the Thursday, and they're all going, that's because it was a Thursday night, you know what I mean? So I think, I don't know if it's a psychological thing Rangers have got, but they've kind of hashtagged that Rangers Thursdays. The Rangers supporters, and I think genuinely Rangers have got a real shot at this, but this might be controversial, but I think the Rangers could go to Atletico Bilbao next week and they could win this tie. So I just think it's important for Rangers to stay in the tie.
Yeah.
I do. I think the big thing for Atleti is that they've got a lot of good technicians in the midfield for me, and I just feel like if Rangers could just stay in the match tonight and then take over there, because what they don't want to do, Robbie, is they don't want to get beat by 2 or 3 and be struggling. I think Barry Ferguson would even take a 1-1. I think he would even stay in the tie.
Yeah, I think, honestly, as negative as this sounds, I think Barry Ferguson would take a 1-0 defeat if you asked him for it now, because that means the tie's not completely over going over to Spain. But look, you're right, Thursday nights they seem to be Rangers nights, but it's not just this season. We look back at previously, the run to the final, and obviously the low start final, but the run on the way there, I mean, the teams they were beating every week, they were beating Borussia Dortmund. That's obviously the big one. They absolutely love a Europa League run. But this is a different force, I think, Athletic Club. It's different circumstances. Every Rangers fan that's gone there today will know that, they've just watched that game versus Hibs, and now they need to come into this one and try and get the confidence back up. Look, it's always going to be up, but it just... I'd try not to be too negative on Rangers here, because it's so easy to go, oh, they've lost 5 games at home, they've not won since February, this is shaping up to be a tricky tie. But I'm trying to give Rangers credit. We've spoken about the William brothers and some of the other players in Athletic Club. I look at Rangers and I look at Václav Černý, and he's a player that, for me, is a Rangers key danger man. He can create a lot of chances. But I wanted to ask you guys, obviously, John Sterling's been picked for the back line. How do you guys think, compared to someone like Inciala, how do you think he'll be feeling? Because the last time we seen him, he made a pretty vital mistake in a Rangers game. And he's not even getting picked over a fullback now in the back line. So you've got to wonder, how do you guys think he'll be feeling?
Yeah, I think it'll be very kind of disappointing again and all that, but I do think it would be like that, but I don't think he's got a lot of time to think about it, if you know what I mean, Robbie.
Yeah, I know you're right. It just needs to take a moment. I mean, it's going to happen to a lot of Rangers players. I'm sure there's Rangers players on that bench that aren't particularly happy with not being selected in a big game like this, because every player that plays for Rangers wants to be in this game. We look at Ross McCausland, and he's another player that he's not featured much, but when we have seen him, he's shown glimpses of real attacking quality. So he's got to wonder why he's not getting more game time. And obviously Hamza Egeman, another one that we were ranting and raving in a show just a couple of months ago about how good he is and how good he can potentially be. He's barely come off the bench as well. So I'm sure. Sorry, on you go, Michael.
No, I was just going to say the forgotten man.
Yeah, aye.
No, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, on you go.
No, I was just going to say the forgotten man, Igamani, because he was. He was scoring goals for fun for Rangers every week.
Yeah, and now we've barely even seen him play any minutes. It's there'll be a few players in there questioning it. I think Connor Barron's on the bench as well. He'll probably be wondering why he's not getting more minutes in the team. So there'll be a few players in there that are probably wondering why.
Hamza Igamani. Hamza's gonna score a goal. Here we go again. You seen that? You seen that, Robbie?
I have seen that.
Michael's not seen that. Have you, Michael?
No.
It's Grado. He's made Grado made a song up about.
Oh yeah. I have seen it. Yeah. No, I have seen it. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Regan, Regan, I need to ask you, as a guy that I'm sure you've seen the Athletic Club team sheet, how on earth do you say that goalkeeper's name? I've been trying to look
I need to put my teeth. I need to put my teeth back in. I'll just be back in 20 minutes time.
it.
I've got to say, Michael, I feel sorry for your pal Rory Hamlin tonight because he's got a mouthful. When he's, I'll try and get it for you right now, Robbie. But
I hope he's got his teeth up in the right way, Reagan.
Agasanabala. That's the way it sounds, Robbie. Agasanabala.
Aye.
No, that's enough of that swearing on the show, Reagan.
No, I wouldn't do that, Michael. I wouldn't do that.
So yeah, you did well with the first one. You've got another 14 to go.
I thought you were going to say I did well with the Hamza Gamani song, but
Yeah.
I think everybody turned off when I started singing. But
And why do you guys think, and I'm reading a lot of the replies, why do you guys think Rangers fans seem so negative about this team selection? To me, I think they should be looking at this as if Barry Ferguson's brave doing this, no negatively.
I'll tell you why, Robbie, because people like being negative for the sake of it. It's just general life. General life. People like to be like see if I walked down the street and I somehow managed to walk, somebody go, but you've been used to living in a chair for the last 27 years. Well, at least I'm walking now. You know, somebody's always going to, you know what I mean. So everybody's always going to have something negative to say. You know, so I just think in terms of Barry, he's made a bold choice to bring in Kelly, and I sometimes think people are just jump on the bandwagon. You know.
Yeah, I just though I look at a guy like Bailey, who's he's barely played, and when we have seen him, he's been very good. And there's a lot of people that are already sort of criticising him in a way, and I'm like, there's absolutely no need just to
We're just going to say, Robbie, when you said about Bailey Rice there, I mean, talking about Rice, it's been a big week for Rice in Europe, isn't it?
Well, if Rangers getting a free kick, I know how to put on them because Rice have been seeing a lot.
I don't know if Michael's seen the Arsenal and Real Madrid game, but they two Declan Rice free kicks were amazing.
I mean, just the whole Declan Rice performance. I mean, I thought it was a superb all game.
And it was great to see Tierney playing as well for Arsenal. It really was.
Aye. I mean, do you think next season he'll be in green and white?
He should be, aye. He should be. But I think in terms of Bailey Rice, I mean, I think it's just great that Barry is showing the faith in him, because as Michael always bangs on about, it's great to see young players getting an opportunity, especially big nights like this.
Yeah, I've said that a bit. It feels like a million times on the show this season that we want to see more youth players playing. So Michael's got his wish. This is his early Christmas present. This is your early Christmas present, Michael.
I think when Bailey Rice gets sent off in the first minute, I'm going to message Michael and see you're not able to win European ties with young people in the park. You remember that famous quote when Alan Hansen says you're not able to win titles with young players. Remember?
I think Robbie's got season Smith's got Reagan big because what?
I'm just going to say maybe Michael was too young there because he didn't respond.
I'm younger than Robbie, by the way, so I'm thinking that we have to keep track. I think it had to keep track anyway on the show. So big.
I'm just saying you must be using a good wrinkle cream, but I mean in terms of this Rangers performance. In terms of the Rangers performance tonight, Robbie, I mean, who do you think can be the key men then?
It's hard to look by Vaclav Cherny as probably one of the key men for Rangers. We know how dangerous he is on attack. Every time he's missing, I see there's just something that seems to be missing at Rangers. But I look on the other side as well. I look at Hadji, and I still don't think Rangers fans have seen the best in Hadji.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie, I'm just going to say to you there, I don't know if you've still got the Rangers team there, but I see there's a few new people joining us. So could you just run through the Rangers team again?
Yeah. So it's Kelly in goals, a back three, Sterling, Proper, Balogun, Tavernier and Yilmaz are your wing backs, Bailey, Rice and Raskin in the middle of the park, Cherney on the right, Hadji on the left and Cyril Dessers through the middle. On the bench it is Bajrami, Connor Barron, Jack Butland, Finlay Curtis, Hamza Agaman,
Hamza Igaman, mate. Hamza's going to go.
McCallion, McCausland, McGrory, Insiala, Danilo and Jeff Debauer. There's a few youth players on there that I've not really heard of before, so it'll be interesting to see if they get any minutes.
I was just going to say, Robbie, and see in terms of what Tavernier, right? Tavernier's playing, obviously, right? But I mean, sure, this is going to be Tavernier's last season, but hopefully for him, he can step up again tonight.
I think this will be his last season. Well, at Rangers anyway, I think his time's well overdue to leave. I think. Well, look, I don't think his time's overdue in terms of what he's done on the pitch, but I think in terms of the fans, I think the fans think this is his last season at Rangers, just because we've seen some of the criticism he's got, which look, I personally still don't get. I think he's been a brilliant servant at Rangers, but I fully expect this to be his last season, so he'll want to go out with potentially a Europa League trophy if they can get through this.
Yeah, Michael, I think in terms of Rangers, I mean, tonight, Robbie's talking about Flaclav Cherney, but I think and the other people for me that need to do well is Leon Balogun, because these two brothers, they'll be hoping they can get a brotherhood going and try to link up and try and test Liam Kelly, because he'll be under pressure from the get go.
Yeah, no, they would have done the homework on Liam Kelly as well, and and I know that he's a goalkeeper, but he's prone to one or two mistakes as well. So I think they'll be testing on what else in the game.
Aye, but are we going to let's say, Robbie? See, when you've watched, have you watched the Footy Club, Robbie?
Not really, to be honest.
Well, I think for me, the big thing that you need to do to be a Footy Club is down the side for me. I mean, so I think I think it's a big night for Hadji. Because if he can get the two fullbacks of Athletic Club, then I think he could cause problems, and especially because Hadji as well. I mean, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I've not heard any update if Hadji's going to sign a new contract. Because remember when he got brought in for the Celtic game, there was a big hoo-ha about him scoring, and then people are saying, "Oh, we need to get Hadji on a new contract." Well, it sort of died away.
Yeah, it's been relatively quiet on Hadji's contract. I don't think there's any. I don't even think there's any rumours going about it, to be honest. But you're right, it's a big night for Hadji. It's a big night for Cherney and the two wing backs as well. Tavernier and Yilmaz will have a big shift to fill tonight as well. But I'm particularly excited to see how Yilmaz gets on. In the sort of full-back, wing-back area. He'll be looking, we know what he's like. He's a very attacking wing-back. He likes to get balls into the box, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But a player, sorry, just quickly off Nico Raskin in the midfield as well. Honestly, I think I think this might be unpopular, but I think he's Rangers' best player in the middle of the park.
I think he is, and I think, well, like you said there, Robbie, he's Rangers' best player. And let's be honest about it, we've spoken about people like Vargas and Kuhn, Rio Hattati, and people like that, and Rangers players not being able to handle Ibrox. Well, I'm telling you right now, this is a great chance for Rangers to quadruple their money if Nico Raskin puts some man of the match performance in. Because John Bennett and people like that in Douglas Park have spoken about Rangers being a sellable club and trying to make profit in players. Well, this is the night where and Nico Raskin needs to put a performance in and show clubs in Europe that he's a proper asset for Scottish football and for clubs to potentially go and buy him from Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, Sorry, Michael, on you go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I know Robbie just singled out one or two players, but it's a big game for them. But I would maybe go as far as to say, Robbie, it's a big game for the Rangers team, and I think they owe a big performance to the fans.
Oh, massively. It's Rangers' biggest game that's left of the season. By a country mile, they know that they need to stay in this game going into the away leg. It only gets tougher over in Spain, so they know it's not only a big night for the players and they owe the fans a lot after the season they've had, but they know it's a big night for the rest of the season. If Rangers lose this by a few goals and they look dead and buried in the tie, then you can call their season off because they've got absolutely nothing else to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can say good, au revoir, or all of those kind of words, Robbie. But I mean, it's in terms of the players that could potentially affect the match from the bench, apart from Hamza Igimani, I think you could also potentially look at.
I think you like that song, Reagan.
I do, Michael. I've seen it in social media the other day. It's great.
Yeah, and that's good.
Apart from him, who else, Robbie, could you see on the bench that could really?
Connor Barron is another one that I think will come on at some point. I don't expect Bailey Rice to play the full 90. I fully expect him to maybe get 60 or 70 under his belt. So I think Barron's in there. He could come on. But look, I'm looking at my young players. Why not give Finlay Curtis another go in Europe? Well, what dangers are going to cause if Rangers are still in the tie?
Is Ross McCausland on the bench? I know Michael loves.
Yeah, Ben McCausland's there.
Michael, are we talking to Andy later? Is Andy on?
Andy's not coming on tonight. No, and in fact, I'm gonna give Andy a mention here because his wife is having a baby.
That's right.
As I say, and only for the horses. So no, not Andy. His wife, Reagan. His wife's pregnant, not Andy. So I need to get that on the record. So yeah, no, Andy's on standby duty, so he won't be on tonight. At 10 o'clock, I'll be myself, yourself, and the Robbie Robster. I think I'm going to give you that new nickname, Robbie, if you don't mind.
The Robster.
Robbie the Robster.
I got on there. But congratulations to Andy and his wife. On obviously the news of them having a baby as well.
Well, I'm so glad that you said that, Robbie, because if Reagan was saying that, he would say congratulations to Andy and his wife. And I'll be a bit worried there.
Well, I don't know his wife, so I'm just saying congratulations to Andy and his wife.
Yeah, well, yeah, that makes 3 of us, yeah. So, congratulations to Andy and his wife. From everyone from the locker room team. And on that note, guys, I think we could blow the final whistle, and we will see you at 8. We will see you at 10 o'clock for the post-match show.
Score predictions.
Oh yeah, score predictions before we go, Robbie.
Yeah, as much I've just sat in this show for the past hour and try to defend Rangers and say they've got a chance, but I'm going to go 3-0 Athletic Club. I don't think Rangers have a chance in this tie, to be honest.
I'm going to go Rangers Football Club 1, Athletic Club 2. For anyone who doesn't know Spanish, that means Rangers 1. Athletic Club 2.
Why do you always do that to me, guys? Right? Because I was going to say 2-1 as well.
Can you tell that we love Scottish football? Can you tell we love Scottish football?
Yeah. We do a show every week to talk up Scottish football, and then when push comes to shove, we actually say, yeah, the Scottish team's going to get well beat. as well. So I will go. Okay, I'll go a wee bit different because I like to be different, and no comments from Reagan there. 3-1 to Atletico Bilbao or Club. So there you go. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments tonight. We're back at 10 o'clock here for the reaction show in the quarterfinal. Only half an hour away now from the game at Ibrox, and we will see you at 10 o'clock.
See.
The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need. Live